Good morning. Happy Shakyadawa and welcome to our Friday drop-in meditation class. Good to be here. So Shakyadawa, very important day, very auspicious day, celebration of Buddha's birth, death and enlightenment all in the one day. So we're told that all our actions, what we do with our body, speech and mind, all our positive actions are multiplied millions and billions of times on this special day. So any Dharma practice we can do, any meditation, any virtue is worth doing on Shakyadawa. It's such an auspicious day. So we'll do our normal mindfulness practice, and I've been, same as last week, I've listening to some of Alan Wallace's teachings that he gave at the Balmain Town Hall last year. This is, I think, the third or fourth day, and he's mentioned a few things which I just thought I'd mention about shamatha praxis, mindfulness practice, and he said the actual aim of mindfulness is to obtain three things: stability, which is the keeping the focus on the object that we choose, the breath in our first practice, and the breath could be focused at the body, movement of the whole body, movement of the abdomen, or the breath at the nostrils. He said this is the classic Theravadan practice where we focus on the nostrils or the air moving through the body. And so stability and relaxation is the second one, which we do by resting the body, spending quite a lot of time just focusing on the body and make sure it's comfortable. Because Alan Wallace says that unless the body's relaxed, the mind can't be relaxed. If the body's uncomfortable, the mind will be distracted. So the third one is vividness, which is like the clarity of the mind and the intensity of the mind. So these three, stability, relaxation, and vividness, is what we are looking for in our practice. So the vividness is where we actually become very aware of more and more subtleties. If it's the breath, we become more and more of the fact that each breath is slightly different. If it's the body, even tiny movements of the body, and he gives the example of just moving the finger just a little bit back and forward, can be incredibly interesting. If we've got vividness, we notice every single thing about very small movements of the body. So this, he says, this vividness needs to be rooted or grounded in stability and relaxation, which he says is actually composure, so that we're not too sensitive. So if we've got the stability and the relaxation, then our vividness will be firm and we have got composure. So that's the first thing, just remembering those three things that we're achieving or looking for achieving. The second one he's saying is shamatha meditation virtue, breathing meditation virtue. So we've already looked at this. His answer, of course, is that not necessarily, because if we just calm the body and achieve wonderful mindfulness and stability, and we do achieve stability, relaxation, and clarity, we may not have the right motive. And he gives example of robbing a bank, which is Lam Zopa's favourite example. The bank robber, to do a really good job, is all those things: incredible focus, awareness, stability, and clarity, and so on. So he says that's an example of a non-virtuous action with shamatha. He also says just doing the practice to relieve stress. He said there's nothing wrong with that, but if that's our motive, just to feel better ourselves, it's not virtue. So he said basically it all depends on motivation, which is really the teaching, the traditional Tibetan Buddhist teachings, that everything becomes virtue by virtue of our motivation. And so he gives the example, if we're doing the practice as an act of kindness, being kind both to ourselves and being kind to others, because if we've got this composure and clarity and stability in our mind, others will be benefited. Those around us will be benefited. So this is a more balanced individual, be of use to other people, benefit to other people. But he says he actually says that's virtue, but to make it Mahayana Dharma, he says the motivation is to do it for the sake of all sentient beings, of all beings. So we take refuge in the Buddha Dharma Sangha. We entrust ourselves to the Buddha's teachings. Good day to remember that, Buddha's birthday. Reminding ourselves that we're trusting in his teachings, in his example, and also in the people who are following the teachings, the Sangha. So he says this idea of taking refuge and motivation to benefit others is actually Mahayana Dharma. So that's how we make our practice complete Mahayana Dharma, just having that motivation. So very good teachings, and with that in mind, see if I've got anything else to mention. Probably I've talked enough. So we'll do our mindfulness practice. In this particular one, he focused mainly on the breath. He said this is the classic Theravadan practice. Remember, we've got the body we can observe, we've got the abdomen. He says the classic Theravadan practice is to focus on the breath. So it's up to you to choose which is the most comfortable place to focus, as always. And with the breathing, the breath, it's at the nostrils, that touch sensation there where the air comes and goes. And it can also extend to the awareness of the air in the body. The focus is air. Rather than the earth element, which is the body, we're focusing on the air element. All right, so element. All right, so having said that, let's get comfortable and do some practice. So we're now coming into our internal world, being conscious that we're now looking inwards, taking care of our mind, which coming back to our natural sanity. So important. So we'll start with our motivation, just checking. A sense of gratitude that we are able to do some practice together through this medium. have a sense that we are together, not in the same room, but in the wider sense. And we're just doing our practice not just for our own benefit, although that will benefit us. Our calm mind is an act of kindness to ourselves. But by having a tranquil mind, that will benefit those around us. By having a tranquil mind, that will benefit those around us. They will benefit. And by practicing mindfulness in the long term, we'll progress along the path and benefit innumerable sentient beings, all sentient beings. So now just starting with the body, time to relax the body, time to make sure we're comfortable. If we're on the, whatever surface we're on, the chair or the floor, sitting, lying down, just bringing full awareness into our body. Is it evenly balanced? Weight evenly distributed on the floor or the chair? Checking the upper body first, keeping the shoulders relaxed, the eyes either closed or just gently open, gazing about body length in front, softening the muscles around the face and the eyes. The lower body, is it comfortably seated or lying down, feeling that connection with the surface, connection with the earth, allowing gravity to gently pull the body into the earth and letting go. Using the out breath to start off with to let go all the physical tension in the body, all the mental busyness of the body, of the mind. Breathing it out. Nothing to hold on to. Time to let go. Then giving all our awareness to the whole breath, the full flow of the in-breath, the full flow of the out-breath. focusing either at the abdomen, rising and falling with each breath, focusing the whole body movement with each breath, or focusing at the nostrils. Where we feel that air, cool air entering the body, and warm air leaving the body. Focusing on the air element. And as we let go, just noticing that movement of air into the nostrils and out of the nostrils without any control. We just stand aside and watch. Just that gentle movement of the breath. Now we can noticing it. A physical movement, a physical sensation. Now we follow the breath all the way into the body, all the way out of the body. Remember that body, the mind is alert as well as stable. When we notice that we've lost the breath, relax, be happy. We caught it, we noticed. We let go and patiently come back to the breath. Relax, release, return to the breath. As the mind settles, our attention becomes more vivid, more clear. We can notice each movement of the breath in detail, how each breath is slightly different, whether there's an even breath, an uneven breath, a long breath, a short breath. We notice we're there. Staying with the breath, just ignoring the background thoughts, background distractions, letting them go. Just calmly staying on the breath, home to the breath. So just relax and have a stretch. So just a reminder, there's a Chakadawa today, so as I mentioned. So there's a good teaching initiation, I think, or transmission by His Holiness the Dalai Lama. There's a Guru Puja at VI, Vajrayana Institute, which is also online. So the details would be with the VI website, how to click in, connect to that. So the second practice I've chosen is the one on just watching the mind. It's called continuity of mind, being aware of the continuity of the mind. So this practice Mamiyeshi talks about in his book, When the Chocolate Runs Out. So he starts with special connection. So I tell people not to punish themselves physically or psychologically, but simply be happy and reasonable and keep their bodies as healthy as they can. So he says, what's the skillful approach of someone seriously interested in realizing his or her highest potential? Stated simply, it's to keep the mind continuously in a happy and peaceful condition as possible. As happy and peaceful condition as possible. What a delight. From that, he says, the continuity of your mental energy is a bit like the flow of electricity from a generator through the wires, going through the wires, until it lights up a lamp. From the moment it's conceived, your body evolves. Mental energy is constantly running through, changing. And if you realize that, you can more easily understand your own mind's previous continuity. Understanding this continuity of mind helps you act more skillfully right now. And that in turn leads to more happiness. The mind is very powerful. Therefore, it requires firm guidance. Just as a powerful jet plane needs a good pilot, the pilot of your mind should be the wisdom that understands its nature. So to help us do that, this practice of just watching the continuity of mind, very effective. So remember that this moment of mind, there always has been mind, and each moment of mind is caused by a previous moment, caused by the mind of a few minutes ago, the mind of a few minutes ago caused by the mind this morning, waking up the mind, etc. So this practice is to sort of focus, rest our attention on this reality, and how we got here, and how what we do with our mind, as Mamiyeshi says, so powerful. Like a jet plane, what we do with our mind in this moment will affect where we steer the jet plane in the future. So, if the Buddhist teachers also said the mind is completely non-physical, so it's clear, visible, and it's also has the ability to know things, to actually apprehend things, like the mirror, the clean, clear mirror. So the other benefit of this practice is to remind ourselves of the reality of karma. So everything that we do, our actions of body, speech and mind, body, speech and mind, our thoughts, leave an imprint on the mental continuum. That's the effect. That's how karma works. So all the positive actions will leave positive imprints, negative action, negative imprints. And so these imprints will stay there and come to fruition at a later time. Perhaps not in this life, perhaps in future life. So it's also a good practice if we've got some doubts about reincarnation, past, future lives. It's a very practical way to just see the logic. So in the actual practice, we start just by allowing thoughts to enter the mind and just watching how these mental activities are flashing by, the thoughts, the memories, the images and so on. Just watch that stream and affirm that there's this stream of consciousness happening. So then we go back, well, this stream of consciousness came from earlier stream of consciousness. So we go back to the stream of the mind this morning when we woke up. And just feel that connection. There's that then continuous stream of mind from a few days, a few weeks, a few months. We can go right back to our childhood mind. See and feel that connectivity between the mind we had then, but also experiencing the difference that there is. It's not the same mind. It's constantly changing. So like a river. It looks like it's the same river all the time, but the contents are changing continuously. So then we go back to the moment of consciousness when we'll conceive and just logically think about where that moment of mind came from. And according to the Buddhist teaching, it can't come from the parents. The parents gave us the body, the two cells of the male and female came together, formed the body. But if we got our mind from the parents, then we'd have half of each parent's mind, which we don't. We know that. Previous mind, consciousness, which is the previous life that we experience from that life to the mind entered the womb at the time of conception. So then we just stay with that reality of that feeling, the possibility of previous moments, previous lives, previous streams of consciousness in past lives. Most of us can't remember our past lives, some can, and there's been really good scientific studies of particularly children who have very vivid recollections of their past lives, and very scientifically well documented studies have been done. We also have our good examples of our reincarnated teachers. Dalai Lama, perfect example. Reincarnation of the 13th Dalai Lama, and Lama Yeshe, reincarnated, Lama Osel. There's good examples in our own teachers and our own gurus. So then we come back to this current mind, and we just, right now, sitting on the cushion, will take us to the moment of mind. Next instant, the moment of mind after we finish our session, soft continuity of mind, also carrying along karmic imprints from our past positive and negative actions. So the conclusion is that we now have, at each moment of mind, we have the option of the choice of deciding to create as much positive actions as possible, so that the results in our mind in the future will be positive. If we know about purification, we can do purification practices to remove the stains of negative actions in the past. So we can, in short, going back to Lama Yeshe's example, make sure we're steering the jet plane in the right direction, a powerful mind, so that we actually can move ourselves to a positive death mind at the time of death, and then a positive state of mind for a positive, auspicious next life, and eventually become liberated from this cycle of rebirth and so on, and then become a completely enlightened Buddha, just as many great yogis have become. So that's all it is. Of course, mind is everything in Tibetan Buddhism, and so we're just reminding ourselves of that and getting some experience of it. So let's now do the practice. So get comfortable. So getting into a comfortable position, spending a few moments just physically coming into the body, coming into the breath, coming home to the breath. Am I looking at our mind now as we sit or lie? Are the thoughts flashing by in the mind? Could be awareness of sounds, sense objects. Excuse me. Perhaps there's not many thoughts. Perhaps we've got that calm stillness of mind from the mindfulness practice. A sense of ease, comfort, stability. Just whatever's happening, watching. Also include emotions, how we feel, happy, sad, neutral, anxious, relaxed. Allow all the mental activities to come and go. Thinking this mind now must have connection with the previous mind. Thinking of the waking up mind this morning when we woke up. Can we remember how we felt? Those thoughts, sensations, led to the next moment. The mind this morning of electricity, as she calls it. Energy, mental energy. And extend our connection back to the dreaming mind last night. Can we remember any dreams? Connection between the dream right now. The flow of consciousness. Each moment of mind caused by a previous moment of mind. Things from yesterday. The mind yesterday. Connected to the sleeping mind last night, the dreaming mind. Flow of mindfulness, experiencing it. Perhaps going back a few more days, something that happened last week, without getting caught up in the stories, just a few things we remember from last week. Then connecting that with the current mind, the mind now, that flow of consciousness, that electrical current of mental energy. Now, let's go back to a long way to our childhood, when we're younger, just a few moments that we might remember. Schooling, our parents, happy times, without engaging, just noticing that mind, that child mind. Can we see it's not the same mind, it's a different mind, but it's connected. The contents of the child mind is not the same as this mind now, but that flow of consciousness from childhood, adulthood, our life to this moment. Now, let's go back before we can probably remember the moment of birth. The body emerging from the mother's womb with mind. We can't remember perhaps. And where did the baby mind come from? The mind in the womb. Where did the mind in the womb come from? Think of that. The moment of conception. The beginning of our mind in this body. Think of those. Which means it must be a physical thing. We know the mind is non-physical. The mind from the previous life. Logical, plausible. Some can remember them. Must have come from other moments, other previous lives. Now that thread, from as long as we can remember, experiencing that continuity of moments of mind leading to the next moment of mind. Uncountable moments of mind without beginning, brought us to this present moment of mind. All our previous moments of mind brought us to this moment. Experiencing that, realizing that. Coming back to the mind now, on the cushion, being aware of our consciousness, of our thoughts. Given that we have some free will, we can choose to commit virtuous actions, to help others, to be mindful. You can decide to do less negative actions and more positive actions, as much as possible. We can harness the power of our mind to go in a positive direction in the future. This moment of mind, going to this afternoon's moment of mind, that continuity of the future. As long as we're alive, we have mind. Going out, when we have to leave the body, will be affected by all the previous moments of mind, from now until the time of death mind. Thinking of that, The only thing that can help at the time of death is our mind. A positive mind at the time of death will create a positive rebirth. Perhaps rebirth in a pure land, perfect human body, perhaps even enlightenment at the time. Conclusion. Our mind is in our hands right now. The Buddha has done. Our gurus have done. The Holy Dalai Lama has done. So we can now dedicate any positive energy on our mind stream, this practice, plus all our positive actions done in the past, future, and present and future, towards our progress on the path to full enlightenment, full liberation, full freedom of mind. Following examples of our teachers, our gurus. Just to conclude, I'll read Lama Zopa's dedication that he suggests for the coronavirus period. He says, due to all the merits of the 3 times collected by me, all the numberless Buddhas, and the numberless sentient beings, may all the wars, all sickness, famine, torture, poverty, and all economic problems in the world, and all dangers of earth, water, fire, and wind, be pacified immediately. May perfect peace and happiness prevail in everyone's hearts and lives. May the Buddha Dharma last for a long time. May sentient being in this world meet the Buddha Dharma, achieve enlightenment as quickly as possible, dedicating to that. Thank you all for being there. Good to be with you. Have a wonderful Shakyadawa, a happy Buddha's birthday, a wonderful week. Look forward to seeing you again same time next week, next Friday. All the best.